Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be going over how God saved me, a Stoic story. And be sure to like and subscribe so we can grow the community of Stoics and help positively impact other people's lives. Okay. So firstly, I'll be going over what God is in ancient Stoicism and the nature of God in ancient Stoicism. So to give you like some contextual background before I start speaking on my story. Okay. So what God is in ancient Stoicism is the universe itself, okay? But not just atoms and matter. It's the thing that governs the universe and gives it its rational nature, okay? So the ancient Stoics said the universe is made up of two things mainly: the passive principle and active principle. Passive principle are things like atoms, matter, and the things within the universe, okay? And then there's the active principle, which is a thing that governs those things within the universe and gives it its rational structure, okay? So the ancient Stoics believed logos um, is the thing that governs the universe and is rational, okay? Now, when we say rational in ancient Stoicism, we don't mean the universe can think emotionally like humans, or sorry, have emotions like humans, or can think about its own thoughts. No. Instead, the ancient Stoics would say that the universe is rational, and in this case, rationality means things happen according to rules, causes lead to effects consistently, patterns repeat, and nothing is accidental. So it's a more kind of naturalistic view on the universe itself. And yeah, that's what logos or God, as they could call it, really is in ancient Stoicism. So it isn't a personal God like you see in Christianity or Islam or Judaism. It is a principle that governs the universe in a rational way. Okay. Now, I want to give a summary of how it fits into this philosophy. So, how it fits into ancient Stoicism is the Stoics would say, and you've probably seen this on the internet quite a bit, especially from people like Ryan Holiday, align yourself with nature is what the Stoics preached and try to live by. Now, when they say align yourself with nature, they mean align yourself with God or Logos, okay? And I'll explain it. So, Logos governs itself, okay? Because it is the principle itself. It is the thing that animals, objects, and plants are inside of, okay? Now, because humans have the capacity to think rationally ourselves, think about our own thoughts, and we can persist or resist against our own natural impulses and natural desires, okay? That means we can reason, okay? Animals, plants, and objects do not have the capacity to think like humans can. Because humans can govern themselves, that means we are part of logos. We are a localization of logos instead of merely inside it. Now, plants, animals, and objects are things within logos because they can't go against the rational structure of themselves or the rational actions of themselves. Only humans can. So therefore, animals, plants, and objects are within logos, and humans, on the other hand, are part of logos. And because we can persist or resist against using the correct reasoning, that means we should persist to use our correct reasoning day to day in different events. Because once you do that, it means you have the correct judgments on certain situations. And when you have the correct judgments on situations, it means naturally you will produce virtuous actions. And obviously, the ancient Stoics, taught that virtue is the sole good of life, which, it is if you think about it. It's the only thing that can't be taken away. It's the only thing that can be used just for good. And nothing else in this life, is really fully in your control as much as your own character. So that's how it fits into the philosophy itself. Now I'm going to be going over my story. So I just gave you some contextual background. I will be doing future videos more in detail on this topic of metaphysics, logos, or God, as they called it, comes under the metaphysical foundation of ancient Stoicism. I will be going into more detail in the future, but for now, I just want to give you some context before I start explaining how I got into Stoicism. So it started off with me on YouTube, scrolling through YouTube like normal, and a Daily Stoic video came up. If you don't know who Daily Stoic or what Daily Stoic is, it is a Stoicism brand which turns Stoic lessons into practical tools you can use day to day in your life. And I discussed my critiques and what I respect about the Daily Stoic in my last video. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but yeah, it's a brand that makes Stoicism widely accessible and keeps the philosophy alive, but it does skip over a lot of metaphysical and logical foundations of the philosophy. So yeah, I watched one video on Daily Stoic. It was the 50 principles on how to live from Stoicism, something along those lines. And I was amazed by it because it was the first time I've seen something which is logical and actually makes sense, which can improve my life for the better, And I couldn't see any downsides to it. I watched that video, I was amazed, and I started binge watching all of Ryan Holiday's videos or Daily Stoics videos. And yeah, from that, I then created a checklist to live by because I was thinking, I was seeing some videos, not all of his videos are like this, but some of his videos are practically kind of like practical based, like 50 principles and how to live like a Stoic, things like that. And I was thinking, why not create my own checklist I can live by? So I created my own checklist, grounded in ancient Stoicism to live by. And how I approached it was each principle, for example, a principle could be two ears, one mouth for a reason by Zeno, which could mean actively listen and only talk when it's valuable to the conversation. Yeah, so I practice that consciously daily until it becomes a habit, and I do it unconsciously, and I do it every single day without even trying. Kind of like how brushing your teeth twice a day is to me and loads of other people. So yeah, that's how I approached each principle on the checklist. I would have deadlines for each principle on when I'd want to master it. So for example, two ears, one mouth for a reason. I might say to myself, right, 2 weeks. By the end of the 2 weeks, I want to move on to the next principle, and that would be like a goal for me to master it in 2 weeks. If I don't master it by then and I don't feel comfortable ready to move on to the next principle, I would extend the deadline to, let's say, like a reasonable amount of time, like let's say another 5 days. And then when the 5 days are done and I feel ready to move on, I move on to the next principle, so on and so forth. Done that for every principle, and I'm still doing the checklist now. And yeah, however, with the checklist, I did have the wrong approach to it because I tried to do something which I don't even know why I tried to do it. I think I was I don't know, just younger and dumber back then, I guess. But I tried to master and focus on every principle at once, instead of moving on one by one. I move on one by one now, but at the time, I tried to do them all at once. But now I do the flexibility with deadlines, what I was just talking about. But back then, I used to do it all at once, try and do like loads of principles. I think it was like 30 to 40 at once. And then I went to Jamaica on holiday, met my great uncle, who, bear in mind, I'd never seen until that point, until I met him in Jamaica when I was on holiday. He lives in Jamaica. I live in UK, so literally met him there, and coincidentally, he actually lived like a Stoic, and he taught ancient Stoicism in universities in Jamaica, and it was quite cool. Um, Quite a lot of wisdom given to me on that holiday. But the main thing I took away from that, which he told me directly, is instead of trying to do all the principles at once, try master one at a time and keep going. And that's how I adopted the flexibility with deadlines on each principle. So yeah, that trip really changed my perspective on how to approach my checklist and stoicism. The ancient Stoics would call my checklist theorems, which are kind of micro expressions of using your reasoning in ancient Stoicism, and a way for you to make it a stable disposition of your character, instead of trying to do everything at once and it not working and you never being able to do it like automatically. That's what the Stoics said about my approach. Now, after the holiday in Jamaica, I kept on mastering the principles, and I've mastered two so far. Two is my mouth for a reason, and is it essential? Meaning I only do essential things in my life. Social time counts as essential, so I can watch Netflix with my friends or with my family, or play video games with my friends and my family. That wouldn't count as inessential. But if I'm playing video games by myself, that would count as inessential. So I only do things which, for example, might help me reach a certain goal I want in the future. And if I'm not doing the thing that gets me closer to my goal, which is essential in my life, I don't do anything at all. I sit there bored. And yeah. So now, after, I've practiced some principles and refined the checklist quite a bit, I came across a video on YouTube from Jared Henderson. You lot might know him. He's a philosopher in the online space, on YouTube. Shout out to him, really respect him. And he done an in detail guide on Stoicism, and I realized that Stoicism wasn't just about ethics, which Daily Stoic drilled into my mind repeatedly, that it's just focus on what you can control, managing your emotions, not being emotionless, and just kind of the more ethical side of the philosophy. I found out there were three pillars to Stoicism: metaphysics, logic, and ethics. And I started researching loads about it. And because of that, I had to refine my checklist and add new principles to my checklist again, such as catch logical fallacies in real time. And I just had to adapt it a bit. And then, Daily Stoic, I still watch once in a while, but it's got to the point now where the same things are kind of being repeated in different videos, which kind of frustrated me a little bit. I still respect Daily Stoic. Don't try to twist my words anymore. But it's hard to watch when, there's so much more to the ancient Stoicism than just ethics, which but isn't being taught to you or explained on the channel that got you into philosophy and Stoicism. So I got kind of annoyed, and I made this channel to help people come to the realization that it isn't just ethics, and there is metaphysics and logic in Stoicism, and to help people live by it, because it does bring a lot of benefits in life. In the next video, I will be going over, or not in the next video, maybe in a future video, I'll be going over different benefits of ancient Stoicism. So yeah, that has basically been my story. It all started from one video, went down a massive rabbit hole. The realization about Stoicism hit, and now I'm here. So now I'm going to explain how Logos, or God, has helped. By God, I mean I'm referring to ancient Stoic God, not the Christianity God or Jewish God, sorry. So Logos has helped because Logos is the thing that governs the universe, okay? All objects, animals, and plants, and humans are part of Logos, okay? So by that sense, the YouTube video I watched on the Daily Stoic 2 years ago from now, I'm pretty sure, say, that actually changed the course of my life. And without that video, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have as much knowledge in philosophy in general. And I definitely wouldn't be as happy and satisfied as I am today. And for example, my great uncle, seeing him in Jamaica, that's logos, you know, literally working. That's literally proof of logos, given it its rational nature. That's literally a prime example of it. I never met my great uncle before. Didn't know he was into Stoicism, and coincidentally, when I was in Jamaica, he wasn't on holiday. He was still in Jamaica, living there normally, and he came down to the hotel for a few days, and over a few days, showed me how to approach the checklist, and that's just another example of logos using this its rational structure to help me. So yeah, that's how logos or God has helped me. And yeah, I'm just gonna clarify again, so you don't get mad. Logos is not the same, or God in Stoicism is not the same thing as God in Christianity or Judaism. It is the active principle consistent throughout the universe, which gives it its rational nature and structure. So yeah, that's been my story really, how God has saved me in Stoicism. Without it, I don't think I would be doing as well as I am in life. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next one.